are you doing this fine, lovely day?
I am well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I was just before you jumped in, I was just kind of getting everybody caught up on some of the comings and goings on the Gargoyle series over Dynamite. Everything that you've put together up to this point. Just so they'll be ready for this conversation. As spoiler free as humanly possible, because I do want y'all to go check these things out, which, by the way, there are links down in the description below for you guys to go check out and hopefully go partake of. Today, this man needs no introduction. I don't know why I'm bothering introducing him, because he doesn't need an introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. We are joined today with Greg Weisman, the creator of probably, I would dare say, the lion's share of some of the best television you will probably ever watch. The creator of the Gargoyles, Young Justice, Spectacular Spider-Man, the writer of the Spectacular Spider-Man comic series right now, that I think just had its 13th issue. I think I think it was the 13th issue just recently it come out.
Yeah,
and it's like there's no at this point it's been going strong. So I think you're doing good work over there. And you just recently wrapped up the Gargoyles Quest series, not that terribly long ago. Within the last, like, I think probably within the last month or so. I feel like it's been like the past couple of months. And we're here today to talk about something that I have been begging for, and that's the Gargoyles Demona.
And that's why we're doing it, because Ernie asked for it, and we want to keep Ernie happy.
That's right. Nobody else. This is for me. Nobody else but me. Screw the rest of you guys. I don't care what y'all ask for. I get what I want. But what has been, I mean, obviously you've been writing Gargoyles Demona, but what else has been going on with you since last time I think the last time we spoke was for the winter special.
We did the winter special. We finished up Quest.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, I've been writing the Spectacular Spider-Men for Marvel. And we are doing Demona, Gargoyles Demona, which begins with a prologue in issue 0, which is a giveaway for Free Comic Book Day in May. Mm-hmm. That's a sort of a prologue, teeing up, so to speak, of our miniseries, which is a 5-issue miniseries, written by me and penciled and inked by Frank Parr, who was my partner on the original Gargoyles television series. He and I were both producers of the show. We were co-showrunners.
Okay.
So it's bringing back the original team. And then we've got Robbie Bavard coloring it, who colored some of our best issues in the old SLG era of the Gargoyles comic. And Jeff Eichelberry is our letterer, as always, and Nick Cosby is our editor, as always. It's a dream team, frankly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's really like getting the band back together.
It really does.
Well, with Gargoyles Demona, just because she's been really large and in charge. Just these last several months with the Gargoyles Quest series, and I don't want to I don't want to give away too much, but I'll just say this: Demona is in a very strong position by the time that it all kind of comes to its close. I know that you said we're going to be kind of taking a little bit of a prologue, and I know some of the solicits said we're going to be taking a look back into the kind of Dark Ages era. I guess to kind of set everything up, is it going to be doing a lot of jumping back and forward between the past and the present?
No, not at all. So issue 0 is set in our present, which is 1997.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, but issues 1 through 5 take place uh, chronologically. Um, the first issue is set in the 1090s, um, AD. So it's uh, within shooting distance of where Dark Ages took place, but
Mhm.
everything's relative. And
Right.
so Demona was alive for 1,000 years, immortal, unaging, while all the rest of the gargoyles were asleep, frozen in stone, back at
Mhm.
Castle River. And I'm not going to pretend that in 5 issues I'm covering 1,000 years. I'm not even trying to do that. But what we're going to see are 5 snapshots of her life
Okay.
for the first couple 100 years. Uh,
Mhm.
and um, each story is set in a different location. Each story is a different genre of uh, sort of pulp storytelling. They each have their own mood, they each have their own feel. And this is a series. Frank came to me and said, "What if we did something like this?" And this fit with my plans
Mhm.
I've had for 30 years now. And and with what Dynamite needed. And
Mhm.
so everyone, Dynamite, Disney, got on board. But this was Frank's idea to do this, and I'm so glad he suggested it because I've seen. I mean, issue 0 I've seen, and he's currently finishing up the art on issue 1,
Okay.
which looks fantastic. And then we'll get to work on issue 2 right after that. But the it's looking great, and I feel really good about it.
Now, one of the things I know that came up with with the in the solicits was that there was going to be an introduction of a new gargoyle, and I don't know how much we can talk about that or not, but I believe if I remember correctly, it was set up as an unknown daughter of Demona that's going to appear in this.
Yeah, her name's Angelica,
Mhm.
um, and I don't want to give too much away about her
Yeah.
character, but we're going. Angelica will be traveling with Demona for these couple centuries, and we're going to see how the overall title of the 5 episode arc is called Better Angels, and we're going to see what influence Angelica has on Demona and vice versa, and play out our stories from there.
Now that I like the idea of it just because the yeah we've already got in the present day or as present as much as the 90s can be our present but the present for the story we've already got Angela who's already there who has already got like a very strained relationship, so like, and like I said we can't say too much about it, but just the idea of there being another daughter who had potential, like, well, especially compared to Angela because she really didn't have much, uh but having a very different experience with Demona, as a character, like, how much fun was that to play with? Because we really don't get to see much of Demona's interactions with Angela very often.
So Demona is Angela's biological mother,
Mhm.
which is a relationship that in gargoyle culture doesn't carry any more weight. Entire clans raise
Mhm.
gargoyles, and so in theory, Angela, if not for the massacre at Wyvern,
Mhm.
Angela would have had 20 moms and 20 dads, give or take.
Mhm.
And that didn't work out. So she wound up being raised by Princess Catherine and the Guardian and the Magus. Um, and but because she was raised by humans, that biological relationship carries more cultural significance for Angela than it does for a typical gargoyle like Brooklyn or Broadway
Mhm.
or Lexington. Um, and so she wants to have a relationship with Demona, but Demona doesn't make it easy.
Right.
Angelica, on the other hand, is not Demona's biological daughter,
Okay.
um, but uh, their relationship, they actually, in other words, Demona's Angela's biological mom, but she didn't raise her.
Mhm.
She wasn't there during Angela's formative years. That's very different for Angelica, who
Mhm.
isn't a biological daughter, but in fact, Demona helped really
Mhm.
raise that girl. So um, it's going to give a lot of, I think, direct contrast that you don't usually get to see. It's I don't know if it's nature versus nurture is exactly
Mhm.
the theme, but you're going to see some of that, and I think it'll be really interesting to see how this relationship plays out across these issues.
Now I'm excited for it just because if if anyone hasn't checked this out, I do highly recommend it. The amount of fun that can be had, going back to the the past era of the series with Dark Ages was a lot of fun because we got to see stuff that we normally wouldn't get to see. So in this, and what we've spent some time with Demona, in the past, but seeing her in this light, I imagine is going to make for some very different storytelling. Um, and because of the fact that there are some characters that, some that do transcend time the same way that Demona does, I guess would there be any hope we would see, maybe, some other characters that, we haven't seen pop up uh, in the present day of the comic series?
They're definitely going to be some. If you've seen the TV show, you're going to see uh, a handful of uh, from the TV show, from the comics, a handful of characters you've recognized and seen before. Not a lot, but
Mhm.
a few. And we're going to meet new characters in addition to Angelica. Again, I mean, this about me, Ernie. I am very spoiler averse,
Yeah, no, 100%.
and but yeah, there are going to be a few familiar faces scattered
Mhm.
across these issues, but it's largely, I mean, there are only two leads. Each issue has its own set of characters and its own, um, again, mood and tone and genre. Even the first issue is historical fiction. The second issue is more of a swashbuckling adventure. The third
Mhm.
issue is a horror comic. The fourth
Ooh.
is a murder mystery detective story, and the fifth is ele- an elegy, in essence. And so they've each got their own tone. They've each got their own style. Um, but without a doubt, the book only has two leads, and the leads are
Mhm.
angelic.
Now, so the with that, now, once again, this is just kind of a pie in the sky right now. With everything that's been going on with the Gargoyle series up to this point, and like there's been a lot of really cool stories that have, and beats that have been getting hit along the way. And I remember one of the things that I was really excited about when Gargoyles Quest was announced was that, oh, we're going to be getting a lot more face time with Demona, and we're going to be getting that here as well. Uh, w- I know that, like, Dynamite doesn't really seem shy about exploring some of the other characters Is there any hope that maybe maybe some of those other characters we haven't seen yet, or even some characters we have been kind of keeping up with, that we might maybe get some series about them, maybe like a Thalog, or maybe a past look at Macbeth, or anything like that?
I mean, some characters are more likely to get their own series than others, just from the
Mhm,
standpoint of sales and that kind of thing. But
mhm,
I love all these characters, and whether it's in the main Gargoyles series, which we're planning on bringing back, or in one of these spin-offs, I want to give some attention to everybody. And
mhm.
um and so, I think, the biggest determiner of how much more we get to do, sales are strong on Gargoyles projects,
Mhm.
with Dynamite, which is great. But we got to maintain that. It's a pretty simple, straightforward equation. If the sales
Right.
stays strong, we'll be doing more books, and the more books we do, the more you'll get to see characters like Thalog, like Macbeth, like many others. Um, if sales don't stay strong, the fewer we get to do, and then it's a crapshoot. So you just hope for the best.
Well, I'll say this. Just to go ahead and get it in here early. Um, anyone watching this, whether you're watching this live, or you're watching this after the fact, I'm gonna impress upon you something that will make all this possible. It'll because I'm looking at the chat, and I see some people asking different questions, and bringing up this, that, and the other. If you really want to ensure these things, go to your LCS. Talk to the person behind the counter. Say, hey, that Gargoyles Demona series. Can you put that in the? Can you put that in my pull box? I want the whole series in my pull box. And I would also say another good way to help that out too is I have it under good authority that there are some trade collections. I know that the first volume has been out for a while. I think it was Here in Manhattan Volume 1, Here in Manhattan Volume 2. I think is also out. And I would also go on a limb and
I
say,
don't think two is out.
which one? Yeah, I was about to say,
I don't think two is out yet. It's
it's
due
not out yet.
soon, but
Is
I
it
don't.
Dark Age? Is Dark Age is the one that's out then?
No, I don't think. I think the only one that's out is Volume 1,
Okay.
here in Manhattan.
So this is what you do. Pre-order those bad boys. Like
Yeah.
just go out there, pre-order them. And that will go a long way towards getting you any of those things that you may or may not be asking for. I promise you, it will make those things materialize a lot faster than if you don't.
Yeah, I mean, this has become a business about pre-ordering. So, I mean,
Mm,
asking for it in your pull box, or pre-ordering, or uh, that's what the comic book business is about these days.
mm-hmm.
Not about, hey, it gets out on the newsstand and let's see how many copies get purchased. It's about, no, how many
Yeah.
copies purchased in advance.
Yes.
Um, and that's the nature of the beast. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It just is the thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
given that fact, if you want to keep Gargoyles strong, and God knows I do,
Mm-hmm.
um, I may be biased, but I'm
You don't have any
asking.
skin in the game. You don't
Yeah,
have any skin in the game on this.
I'm uh, the pre-ordering is essential, one way or another. That's just life in the business these days.
It's I always try and impress it upon people, just because I hear this all the time. I always there's never a day that goes by, man, Ernie, what happened to this series? What happened to that series? Why don't they make this series anymore? And I always hate giving this answer, but it's the answer that's the most accurate, because you didn't pre-order it. Or if you did, someone else didn't. It's you gotta, it's just what it is. And I don't, I have mixed opinions on the whole thing, but at the same time, I understand from a business perspective why they do it. But I think that Gargoyles has been like far and away like one of the most fun, one of the most engaging books. Like, the level of storytelling, like it's like, and I think I told you before, like it just feels like it never. It's like Gargoyles never stopped. The way that you could just jump right into it. One thing I was curious about, and I know we did have there was the collections that were done a little ways back that kind of brought in some of that stuff from the SLG run. One of the things I was curious about is like if in the whatever comes next, will you be revisiting any of that stuff? Like in a I guess like any like detail for anyone who just never was able to get there.
I try to write the books for both longtime fans, hardcore fans who never missed anything, and for people who've never seen the show and are picking up, well, it's kind of hard to pick up issue 4 of Quest in the middle of a story.
I mean, if you do, God help you.
If you started with Demona 0, started with Demona #1, or started with Quest #1, the idea is that you don't have to have read anything from the past. Anything you need to know, will get revealed to you in that book. Now, there is a lot of details that won't get revealed in that book, but that's because you didn't need it to enjoy that story. And in terms of bringing in stuff from the SLG era, I do that all the time. I mean, hell, we've got 2 regular characters, Katana and Nash.
And Foo Dog, too.
Foo Dog, too. All 3 of them first appeared in the SLG stuff, and they're members of the clan now fully. And so, I want to bring these characters to life as much as the ones that first appeared in the television series. And I think again, I'm biased, but I think we've done a fairly good job.
Oh yeah.
Making it a book that's both accessible for new readers, but fulfilling for old fans. No one's an older fan than me.
I mean, I think you've done a fantastic job with it, because even some stuff like I didn't really get to read, the SLG run in its entirety, but even for like the little bit that I was able to, to check out, I was still able to keep up. I was still able to figure out like who everybody was, like what was going on, anything that that pertains to Katana and Nash, all that stuff. Like it was really easy to pick up. So I can definitely attest to to it being that accessible. And like one thing that I was also quite happy with as well when reading Quest was kind of tapping back in to some of the stuff from the Avalon part of the adventure, back when Goliath and Eliza and Bronx were traveling, and running into characters like Jade and so on and so forth. Like being able to like, are there any other like characters, like not necessarily to say like with with Demona, but just like in general, are there any other characters that like you've been just kind of like really interested to get back to that you just haven't gotten to yet?
Oh yeah, like just a couple hundred.
Just a whole army of them. Yeah,
across 65 episodes of 2 seasons of the TV show, 18 issues of the SLG stuff and the new stuff from Dynamite. We've introduced shall we call it a shit ton of characters?
I would say so.
And
you've introduced enough characters that sometimes I would have to go back and be like, wait a minute. Yep, I remember now.
And I want to. I like I said, they're all my children, so to speak, and I want to spend time with each and every one of them. And some, but we want it to be organic. I don't want to be just like, okay, I'm now going to shovel this character in here. It all has to make sense. It's all got to fit. I've got a master plan. It doesn't lock down every little detail. Every time I craft a story, I'm doing that as is, but and discovering things along the way, which only add to the timeline and I think make it fun. But yeah, given enough issues, we'll get to everybody eventually. But we'll also be adding new characters, so we'll never run out. So
right. Oh, I was gonna say, like, just between everything you've done up to this point, like, there's so many characters that honestly, I honestly don't think you can run out.
my timeline goes to 2199, the year.
Oh man,
and that's only as far as it goes. I'm not saying it ends there. I'm just saying that's as far as I've taken it so far.
Well, yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, that's man. There's a ton of characters. There's a ton of characters. Well, and just real quick, I want to answer a couple of questions from the chat, just because I see the same question popping back up over and over again. One, this is a comic, not the animated series. For two, yes, Demona still has her human form from the series.
Only during the day.
Only during the day. It actually, as a matter of fact, if you read I think this actually falls into the start of it, of us seeing her in the series starts with what'll be volume 2. That is where you will ultimately get that that answered all the way out for you. And I'll say this for anyone that is.
But I will say that Demona, in the Demona miniseries, because that's set in the past, she turns to stone during the day.
Right.
Does not turn into a human during the day, because
that was more of a present day development.
Right. That took place in 95 or 96, 1995 or 96, not 1095. So yeah, if you're talking about, if the question was specifically related to the Demona miniseries that's coming out, no, she turns to stone during the day, not human, because that's set way back when.
You saying that kind of made me think about it. That was actually a core memory for me. That episode where the curse is put on her that she turns into a human during the day. It was a core memory, because I remember I don't think I have laughed quite as hard as I had then as a kid, because it was so hilarious to me that Demona would have to be something that she does not like. But I always thought it was like a really nice little comeuppance, one that she's kind of learned how to use to her advantage. But I'm curious about this in regards to other villains, because I figured it worked last time we spoke, so I'm gonna try again. So the Gargoyles Thalog 5-issue miniseries. So that's gonna be coming out 2026? Is it 2026 we're looking at here?
Ernie, from your lips to dynamite ears. I'm all for it, but it's not up to me.
Look, Nick, Nick, I know you like to be sneaky and listen in. I'm calling in my favor. I'm calling in my favor. This is I'm putting it out here. Put the word out. Gargoyles Thalog 2026. Nick, you know what to do. Nick Barucci knows exactly what to do. But no, I think that as far as as man, as far as what you've got, thus far, bringing Demona, and because that was kind of one of the one criticism I actually had of the initial first few issues of Gargoyles. Like, man, I really wish Demona would show up, and then she showed up, and I was happy again. But like, seeing her get all of this, let me turn that off. Seeing her get all this love and attention in Gargoyles Quest and everything, like, was there any like kind of reading the trajectory of the story of it and what happened with the three keys of power that had kind of popped up during the storyline, and some of the alliances and things that came up during then, will there be any, I guess, whenever we get back to, I guess, whatever is the going to be going on with the core series, I noticed that some of the stuff that was going on in the core series kind of bled into Quest.
Mhm.
Since this is all taking place in the past and not in the present, how long are we? How long are you thinking we might have to wait till we learn the fate of a particular gargoyle? I don't want to say the name because I don't want to give it away, but from the end of Quest, how long do you think we might have to wait to find out the fate?
Oh, Ernie,
I just
knew I wasn't going to tell you.
I don't want to know what happens. I just want to know how long my heart is gonna have to be in shambles.
I'm not giving that away.
Okay. Well, I'll just say this. This is something that's actually been coming up a lot, and I don't know if you have. I know last time we spoke, you didn't have any new news on this, so I'm gonna try again and see if we can get any word from you out of this. A while back, it feels like it was a lifetime ago, but it probably wasn't that long ago. Disney had made an announcement they were going to be doing something new with the Gargoyles IP in a live action format. I don't know if you can say anything, but
I can tell you when that announcement was. It was in October of 2024.
Okay, so has there been any more movement on that front or anything of that nature?
Cannot answer that question. Not because
I had to try. I had to try.
Sign an NDA. I'm not allowed to talk.
Well, we look. It's I had to give him my best shot. I had to give him my best. I tried, y'all. I tried. Y'all can't say I didn't try. That said, I guess let me ask you this: with in this, I guess, kind of is going to take us, maybe into some other territories, but having had as much success as you had with reviving Gargoyles, and literally getting multiple spinoffs and one shots, that's no small feat. Has there ever been any like especially what you've done with Spectacular Spider-Man over at Marvel, just based on your history with the Spectacular Spider-Man IP? Is there any hope that maybe some other IPs you've worked with, are there any, is there any hope for maybe getting to tackle anything in that arena? Like, because I feel like Young Justice does not get enough done with it.
I feel that way too.
Like, is there any, I guess, like I know originally it was all kind of chalked up to like toy sales or potential toy sales or like wrong demographics or
demographics thing was bullshit. That was something somebody said, and then it went crazy on the internet. That was never true.
Okay,
First
like what was the real reason?
First two seasons, what funded the Young Justice was Mattel. Mattel paid for the show. Then Mattel stopped paying for the show, and we were done. Then 5 years later, we were brought back to do season 3 for what became DC Universe. Then
Mm-hmm.
Universe ended, and but they had already picked up season 4, and so we wound up on what was then called HBO Max and is now called Max. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, we did a number of canon Young Justice comics.
Mm-hmm.
We did I want to say 25 issues during season 1 and season 2, and then one issue leading into season 3, and then we did a 6-issue miniseries when season 4 was over called Young Justice Targets. And you know, the unfortunate thing about Young Justice Targets, which I thought was fantastic, Chris Jones did the art, and I thought he did an amazing job, and I was happy, very happy with the story. Um, is that it did okay, but the pre-orders were underwhelming. And as we said
Mm-hmm.
earlier, it's all about pre-orders. And I think um, if everyone who watched Young Justice bought those issues, we would have not only been fine, we would have been a massive hit, and we would be still doing more issues. But that's not what happened. People didn't go out by the book, but that was the continuation after season 4 was that comic. And like I said, it wasn't a failure. It didn't bomb. It just, didn't knock anyone's socks off with its sales numbers. I think creatively
Mm-hmm.
very strong, but the sales numbers were okay. They just weren't stellar. And I think, DC was hoping for something much bigger, and they didn't get it. So they said, okay, we're done. Um, and that's a bummer.
Yeah.
It is strictly, again, a factor of sales. And so now to sort of get them, I just don't think there's an interest there. We've Chris and I talk to DC periodically, and they say nice things, but they haven't greenlit anything. So
Mm.
and people talk about um, and they're fans, and I know they mean well, but they talk about doing campaigns, with various people to get stuff back. And I'm like, well, that's great, but what would have really helped is if you had bought the book in the first place. Campaigning after the fact is okay, but if it sells, then you don't need to campaign.
Right.
And um, so it becomes this sort of difficult. And it's not about placing blame. Again,
Mm.
people buy what they can afford, what they want. They make
Mm.
choices. I get it. Maybe some people didn't even know that the series was coming out. Um,
Mm.
that's certainly possible. It's hard to get. The advantage to the internet is that there's a lot of noise, and the disadvantage to the internet is that there's a lot of noise. So sometimes, sort of, you know, getting the thing that you are doing to sort of rise above all that noise so that people know it exists, that's tough. It's hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just don't know. Um, so I'm not placing blame on either Warner Brothers or DC or the companies or the fans either. It's just that's what happened. It did
Mm.
okay, but it didn't do so well that DC's like going, we've got to have another one. It just that's not what happened. Um, and I think it's a damn shame, but it is what it is. Um, but when we finished season 2 of Young Justice, everyone assumed we were done. That was it. We came back 5 years later and did 2 more seasons and 7 more issues of comics. So you never know. I haven't given up on doing more Young Justice someday. I very much want to do more. Um, but I don't own it, so it's sort of up to other people, and we'll have to see what happens.
That is a you said some very the campaign campaign at the LCS when the book comes out. That's that's the campaign that I say is the most effective one. Uh,
I mean,
uh
there's nothing. Keep in mind, this is corporate America we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Best thing you can do is vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
It's like, I want more of this, so I'm proving it to you by spending money.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have, I'm not trying to shame the fans. If you don't have the money,
Yeah.
you don't have the money. If you never hear about the book in the first place, you never hear about the book. If it doesn't
Yeah.
interest you, then why would you buy it? There are lots of reasons to not buy it, but that's ultimately, again, it's not a mysterious process.
Right.
It it really comes down to the sales were good, they weren't great.
Yeah.
And that's not a mystery. That just
Yeah.
is what happened.
Well, yeah, it's all in today's. You were talking about noise, and that I think that is a lot of the
Hard to get
problem with the
hurt.
mystification of it.
It's hard to get hurt because there's so much noise that
Mhm.
for any one thing to rise above that noise so it can be um, sort of capitalize on the zeitgeist or ride some wave of popularity. It's hard because there are 8,000 things all being promoted and pitched simultaneously. So to
Mhm.
find that one thing that rises above that, there's an element of luck to it, timing, things you can't control. And then there are things that you can help to control, but ultimately, you never know.
Mhm.
And again, that's the double-edged sword, the two-sided coin of the internet, which is that it allows people to promote, but it makes it harder for that stuff to sort of rise above. It's tough.
It's yeah, it's usually the issue for me is and I don't think this helps matters is you were talking earlier about how a rumor gets out into the wind about something and kind of really muddies the water on on the truth and because
Let me give
and
you an
that's
example.
yeah.
Someone, I'm not going to say who, posted something about gargoyles on April Fool's Day, and it was clearly a joke. And
Hmm.
particularly on April Fool's Day, everyone got it, or at least I would say 99% of the people who saw it got that it was a joke because it was April 1st and it was absurd.
Hmm.
9 months later, someone spotted that, and it looked intentionally like it was a real article, right? Because, it was an April Fool's joke. So you want to make it look funny. That's the joke, right? So you want to
Hmm.
make it look like it's a real article. But 9 months later, no one bothers to look at the date it was originally posted. It's still there. The date's still there. But suddenly everyone's going, some people who saw this for the first time, they repost it and they're all excited about this thing, which, if you stopped and thought about it for 3 seconds, you'd realize, no, that's absurd. That's not real. But there was this huge cry about, is this real? Is this happening? And I had to answer like 300 tweets about this 9-month-old joke. And okay, fine, that happened. 2 years
Oh.
later, someone else spotted this thing and it started up all over again. And again, the original person, it was so clear. It was on April Fool's Day. It was clearly a joke. But the
Mm.
nature of the internet is such that, I mean, let's face it, the internet is problematic at times.
Look, let's just go ahead and say it. The internet was a mistake. The internet was a mistake.
We'll just admit that. You and I wouldn't be talking without it, but
well,
still,
yeah. Well,
still,
the
it was
internet
a
as we
mistake.
know it, I think is I think people should have to take a test. Is what I'm really trying to say. I think there should be a test for the
A
internet.
driver's
Like,
test for the internet.
yeah,
I'm all for that. I'm all for that. Go down to DMV. Make
yeah.
sure you know how to read the difference between fiction and fact. Take a little test, and you get your internet driver's license. I'm
Yeah.
all for
Complete with ugly picture.
it. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the picture they take when you're the least ready to take a picture.
Exactly.
Well, I just yeah, I tell people this all the time, man. A lie makes its way around the world, twice. For the truth can get out of the bed, put its pants on. It's a tale as old as time, and sadly, oh man, people are really there's people that are and God bless them, because they see something, and even no matter how ridiculous it is, they want to believe that it's real, because they get their they for whatever reason they get their hopes all up into it. But I don't know. It's one of the reasons I just turned the internet off on April Fool's Day. Just unplug the router. I don't need to talk to anybody. I don't need to say anything.
I don't mind it on April Fool's Day because everyone knows it's a joke on April Fool's Day. The problem is down the road,
right?
It doesn't go away when April Fool's Day ends, and down the road, it comes back to haunt me. I'm not kidding. Every couple years or so.
Oh my God.
I get this was like 12, 13 years ago or something. I can't remember now, but it was a while ago. And I'm not kidding. And it wasn't a lie in a day, like someone, it was clearly meant as a joke originally. But now it becomes this never will die thing that rises up every few years to haunt me.
So what you're saying is I guess it's safe to say that the Gargoyles the Gargoyles Star Trek TNG crossover is never happening. It's
never say never.
I had to put it I had to put it out there. But no, I guess, man, I tip my hat to you, because I can't deal with that level of foolishness. I just feel like, no, not fielding any of these.
Job then, Ernie. I don't know.
Because what I'll usually do is someone will ask me a crazy question, and I just have a look, and that look pretty much gives the answer, but I can't give that look on the internet. So it's like, if they ask me like up front, like if I'm out somewhere, it's kind of like, it's way easier for me to deal with. But one thing I do want to ask, because it's pretty crazy to me that for a franchise that's been running, as long as it has, and it's still on the lips and hearts of people everywhere. People are still into it, still jiving with it. One thing I wanted to know, just especially based on some of those last few issues of the Gargoyles main series, and kind of, and we're talking about the real world here too, but like tapping, like what would be your message to those that want to read a comic, they don't want to be reminded the real world exists? And I'm just real quick, I want to say why I'm asking this, because I actually had the displeasure of not talking to someone, but talking about someone who had this really weird opinion about such things. I've seen people, the discourse being, oh, I don't want to be reminded about the real world. I don't want to be current date or present date or whatever. Like, with how you have tackled social issues in Gargoyles, and done well, I think. What is your message to people like that?
I mean, I think that I think people forget sometimes how progressive Gargoyles was back in the 90s. I mean, I get yelled at every once in a while for being too woke. I'm like, I don't think I'm woke enough. I'm trying to be woke. Conservatives can redefine woke all they want. I don't care. The series was always like this. X-Men was always like this. Star Trek was always like this. And so that feeling of I want stuff the way it used to be. I'm like, yeah, you don't. Um, you may think you do, but you don't.
No.
I mean, we try and make gargoyles specifically, and I don't want to speak for anybody else than myself. But we try to make gargoyles specifically with all its fantasy and all its science fiction and all its genre stuff,
Mhm.
still feel like it exists in as real a world as possible that can handle that. And what that means is that, um, New York is New York. It's not some white man's version of New York. It and those things matter to me,
Mhm.
and they always have. It's not like this is a new thing for me. This has been true in 1993 when we started making the show, and it's true now.
Mhm.
Um, I and the main reason, honestly, is just I was bored. I was bored with shows about white guys. I just,
Mhm.
I'm a white guy, but Jesus Christ. I mean, not like, not like I felt underrepresented in 1994, let
Are you
alone,
sure? Are you sure? I don't know if there was enough. I don't
yeah,
think there was
yeah.
enough.
I mean, um, it just, it's tiresome.
Mm.
Um, forget what's right and wrong. It's just boring.
Yeah.
And so it's better to bring in more voices.
Mm.
It's better to bring in more diversity. It's better.
Mm.
Yet whether it's right or wrong for a second. I think it's
Yeah.
right also, but just put a pin in that for a second.
Yeah.
It's better. It's better storytelling. It makes for better TV shows. It makes for better comics. It makes for better everything. And I get so exhausted by the lack of empathy that people
Mm.
have. And Gargoyles has been about empathy from day one. I mean, think about it. It's a race of beings who are othered. They didn't have that vocabulary in
Right.
1904, but that's what we were doing, you know. I feel like I'm up on a soapbox, and that's your fault.
That's all right. That's okay. No,
But
carry
it's the
on.
facts. I mean, just like mutants was X-Men and the mutants was a
Mm.
metaphor for racism. Gargoyles' relation with humans is a metaphor for racism. It we were never shy about that. We came out and said it.
Yeah.
You that's not news. The fact
Right.
that some people occasionally, and not a lot, but occasionally attack me going, you know, you wouldn't have done this in 94. And there's certain things I wasn't allowed to do in 94. But but for the most part, this is exactly what we were doing. And the whole show is
Right.
a metaphor for that. So who are you kidding? And again, I'm like, empathy. Look it up. I mean, happily, taste it, try it, see how it feels. Uh, I, I I was once upon a time completely frustrated with the goal being tolerance.
Mhm.
Nowadays, I would settle for tolerance, frankly, honestly. But
That's kind of where we're at right now. Where it's like,
we're at a place where just getting tolerance seems almost impossible. But when I said many times in the '90s, quoted in TV Guide, among other places, saying that I find tolerance insufficient.
Mhm.
Um, I'm looking for empathy. I want to live among human beings who have empathy. And it frustrates me, particularly uh, in the world today, that I see um, a great wave of anti empathy. And it's insane to me, just truly insane that there's such a thing as anti empathy. People who
Mhm.
sit there and go, No, I don't want to try and walk in someone else's shoes. I don't want that. Stay away. Keep those shoes away from me. That's nuts to me. I don't know why it's not nuts to everybody. It's just crazy making. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I also am baffled by people who look at me and go, "Oh, this isn't something new with you." It isn't. We were doing this from day one.
They weren't paying attention.
Yeah. I mean, and I was doing it before Gargoyles and Captain Adam and other things that I wrote.
Mhm.
So it's just like, it's all there. If you don't believe me, go look.
Well, I would tell them to go look, but I know that they don't read. So that's for me. Every time it's that King of the Hill meme where it's like, if those kids could read, they'd be really upset with you right now. This is basically how I look at it. But
Ernie, you have a knack of bringing the cranky old man out.
I'm sorry. Well,
it's not hard to do, but you have a knack.
It's one of those things where I think what it is, I have a tendency to have my own little soapbox moments. So what I like to do is say, so that no one just looks at me as though I'm the cranky one. I was like, here, let me just shove this off to somebody else and let them do it. Carry on. That's what I'm gonna do. That's kind of what I do. It's like I just get somebody else to voice what I'm thinking for me, so that people will see it's not just me.
Not just you, my friend.
Well, what is not going to be just me is you all are gonna go put Gargoyles Demona in your pull box. That's what's not gonna be just me. That's what I predict. I've already seen people in the chat already say, yeah, they're already ordering. And I will say this too: if you don't have an LCS in your area, there is a link at the top of the chat on both YouTube and Twitch. If you click that link, it'll take you to the Dynamite website. You can pre-order direct from Dynamite. Right. And get the book that way. Just, hey, whatever you do, go get it. And just remember, if you all go do this, if you all go and do this, that means I don't have to look like a liar when I say Gargoyles Thaylog 2026. That's all I'm saying. I'm just putting. I'm going to keep speaking this into the ether until it happens. But Greg, is there anything else that you wanted to plug while you were here?
Nope, we've covered it.
There you go. Well, I'll just say this: for
Demona, Spectacular Spider-Man, and empathy for the human race. Those are the three things I'm plugging right.
Then you know what? I think this is the first here. This is the first here. No one has done that before. I'm going to start looking at everyone sideways now that does not. It's like, oh, well, so you don't want peace and happiness for all mankind? You don't want empathy for all mankind? Oh, interesting. It's interesting that you would plug your own stuff, but you're not going to plug empathy and happiness and kindness for all mankind. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining in with me. And everyone else, y'all know what to go do. Links are down below. Go hit them all. And I will be back this Friday. Probably. I will see you all then. Y'all all take care and good night.